A deal or a surrender? That's the main question that's going throughout the entire population of the world about the new US Iran draft, or the we can say MOU deal, which is going to take place after 60 days. And people are like now questioning that whether this MOU draft between the USA and the Iran is a complete surrender of the US in front of the Iran, or is it really a kind of a deal that will going to like materialize into a strategic framework and will going to deliver results in the long run in the Middle East crisis and solve the entire crisis of the Middle East problem and bring investments, prosperity and peace, as said by the many officials and even Donald Trump, the Vice President JD Vance, the Marco Rubio act to some extent, and other officials like saying that, oh, this is a very remarkable deal and it will going to bring a huge prosperity to the Middle East. Let's analyze it. Hello, welcome back. My name is Lakshya Sharma, the great political commentator, and I am back after like a gap of 1 month. And today we will analyze the implications and the consequences of this new US Iran MOU draft that has been signed between the USA President Donald Trump and the Iranian President Mohammad Pezeshkian in a digital format, where they both signed the MOU agreement between them, and they materialized that in the coming 60 days the US and Iran will hold further negotiations and talks to like solve the major issues differences between these countries and to bring a strategic framework in a comprehensive manner that can like enable to solve hostilities between both these countries and end the long term rivalry of both of them that has taken place since 1979 after the Islamic Revolution. So first of all, to understand the basic structure of the MOU draft that has been signed, we need to look upon the 14 agreements and the 14 bullet points that have been widely agreed upon by both the parties. So let's start point by point. First of all, the very first point includes an immediate end and permanent end to the war on all fronts, including the Lebanon. So guys, this is first of all a very big victory for Iran. You can say why? In it, the first point, the main point is that on all front the war will end. So it means that Iran has taken care of all of its regional allies like Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis, which are very much embroidered in an excess of resistance and support the Iranian resistance, a dream to like capture and basically bring an superiority over the Middle East crisis and to gain sovereignty for countries like Lebanon, the Yemen, and to solve the Palestinian cause of action by supporting Hamas in a limited sense and by giving them financial support, by giving them some material support. And it was the Iran's long-standing demand that whether the Iran war should end with permanent ending of all hostilities, especially by Israel on all other fronts, whether like by stopping Israel from countering and invading the southern Lebanon areas, by going into crushing the people, killing the civilians, and as we have seen the genocide carried out by Israel in Gaza by flattening the entire city and in the name of going out for Hamas. But we actually know that they all gone for like killing civilians, ethnically cleansing the entire area, and to bring these territories of Lebanon and Gaza into the Israeli occupation. And we have seen the little resistance by Lebanese government, as they are also part of the US and Israel access to like dismantle the Hezbollah and give total supremacy and surrender in front of the Israel. So it was the main condition of Iran that when the war will end, it will end on all fronts and especially on Lebanon front. And that has been a main point of contention for now even, because the Israeli ministers like Ben Gavir, the Smotrich, and even the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who are a kind of right-wing extremist, they have categorically stated in their statements and in their press conferences that they will not going to abide by this deal and they will going to keep attacking Lebanon. They will going to keep their forces in the safety zone, so-called safety zone that they've established to stop any attacks of Hezbollah. And that's going to be seen that whether this point agrees and materializes into any strategic comprehensive manner, or it's just going to crush and become a main reason for the resume of war between the US and Iran. The another point is respect each other's sovereignty and territorial integrity and to not interfere into the internal matters of each other countries. So by this point you may understand like who interferes in territorial integrity and internal affairs. Well, it's obviously US and Mossad that basically goes into the Iran, talks about the internal affairs of Iran and tries to sabotage its deal, tries to like um generate artificial protests to dismantle the present Islamic regime by bringing a huge number of protesters. As we have seen that it was behind the US and Mossad that helped create a environment in which they armed people, in which they organized very high level of protest, which were very much fake and very much like we can say organized by Israel to generate a kind of atmosphere that okay, the people in Iran are very anti-Islamic and they want to like overthrow this regime and bring brought Raza Pahlavi into the power. So that's also the point which Iran has agreed to include in this 14-point program, that USA will not interfere into the internal matters and territorial integrity of Iranian matters, and it will respect the sovereignty and the territorial integrity fraternity of the Iran as a important reliable state and not as a terror host. The another point which is I think also a critical point is that they will negotiate and reach final agreement, as I have been stated, in the next 60 days, in which there will be continuous talks between the US and Iranian negotiating teams, as it took place during the JCPOA agreement, when a long-standing agreement was signed between USA and Iran after a day of day negotiations, where both the sides, including negotiations and we can say nuclear scientists and all the officials engaging with each other in a very harsh and in a very we can say difficult manner, trying to bring out the main point of contentions and agreeing on a compromise and to like frame a deal, which was suddenly like overthrown and scrapped into the garbage by Mr. Donald Trump. So that's also another point. The another main points that have to be categorically listed are that USA will lift the naval blockade which they have to. Iran will ensure the movement of free navigation and merchant ships from the Strait of Hormuz to the Sea of Oman and vice versa after 30 days. Now there also needs to be a point that Iran has not said that they will ensure a free navigation without taking any tolls. They have said that okay, taking tolls may be in violation of international law and UN clause 1982 statute, but after that Iran has categorically stated that they will, with the Oman, derive a proper mechanism and a proper strategic framework in which they will impose maintenance fees into the countries that are trying to like pass their ships and merchant vessels through the Strait of Hormuz, because it is upon the territorial water of Iran and Oman, and they both have to like incur many expenses for maintenance, for like providing safe passage to the ships. So they will impose maintenance costs. So it's just like you can say a bribery or a gift. It's just like you can like impose toll or maintenance gift. Nothing happens. It will going to benefit Iran in a huge sum. Before 28th February, Iran did not like any impose any kind of fees, any kind of maintenance penalty, nothing on Strait of Hormuz. Despite that, Iran categorically stated that if the war is imposed on it, it will going to shut down the Strait of Hormuz. So before 28th February, Strait of Hormuz that was completely open. There was no point of debate, contention between US and other side that how to like pass the ships. And now they have given this huge, we can say, strategic milestone and strategic, we can say a milestone and to the Iranian regime to like control the Strait of Hormuz and to gain expenses and money by levying maintenance fees on it. The other important points is that the US will going to lift all the sanctions from the Iranian regime that they have imposed in the last 47 years of Islamic regime for the so-called terrorizing regime that they call that they are going after and trying to like decouple the regime from the power. And so after that they have also agreed to like lift the sanctions, to develop a reconstruction and development fund of $300 billion that they will going to pay to Iran for the damages they have done in Iran by throwing missiles, by engaging into this senseless war, and by destroying the many critical infrastructure, energy infrastructure and oil infrastructure of Iran. So US has categorically stated that they will first of all going to lift all the primary, secondary sanctions. They will also going to pay $300 billion reconstruction and development fund, either directly or by like just imposing fines on JCC countries Gulf Corporation Councils by telling the Arabs to pay that compensation amount to Iranians. Like it just sounds very funny that Arabs who just stays all the day like bootlicking the US interests, saying that USA will gonna protect them. Now it is being seen that it was the USA that started war. There was no role of Gulf cooperation except some UAE and Bahrain type countries. But even after that, they were very much sure that USA will come and support them. The regional bases of the USA in Gulf Corporation will gonna protect them from any Iranian attacks. But they have completely failed. And now the USA, for its own wrongdoing, for its own starting of war, by the pressure of Israel lobby APEC, they are now like throwing all the bills and pressure on the Gulf Corporation to pay these bills to Iranian, because if USA pays directly to Iran, it will be a huge embarrassment for Trump administration and will give a brownie points to Democrats to say that you have surrendered before the Iran. The other important points that include is that they will they'll basically provide a sanction waiver reliever to the Iranian public and the Iranian regime to sell its crude oil, petrochemical products into the global market and to resume this global oil trade mechanism between other countries that was sanctioned by the USA between 2020 and before this war. And we can say that it is also a huge win for Iran, because as you know that India was also a heavy buyer of oil from Iran, but it was sanctioned during 2019 and USA threatened India that it will gonna impose sanctions. And after that, because of our so courageous government, it stopped buying Iranian oil from the Iran after 2019 sanctions. So the Treasury Secretary, the Scott Bessent, has categorically stated that they will provide a sanction relief waiver for Iran to sell its oil, petrochemical products, crude oil, energy supplies into the other countries also, and to trade with global countries and to develop a strategic framework mechanism in which they will going to earn billions and billions of dollars by selling their oil into the global market. Again, a headache for Gulf cooperation countries. And another important agreement is that defreezing of the strategic assets of Iranian money. As we know that much of the money of the Iran is freezed into the accounts of many Western countries like France, Europe, USA, even into the Gulf countries. So US has also stated that they will going to defreeze the assets of the Iranian money up to $24 billion in the coming 60 days of deal when the negotiations take place. So it's also a huge deal of and a huge winning point for Iran, that they have got back their freezed items and freezed assets that were like completely withholded by the US and its, we can say, allies for a period of more than like 15-20 years. And the final thing that needs to be also categorically pointed is that this deal will be provided and will be approved through a binding resolution of the UN Security Council. Means all the permanent 5 countries, Russia, China, France, Britain and US, will going to provide a guarantee that this will be a comprehensive and strategic deal, and nobody, even after Donald Trump, any other future administration that comes to power, in any kind of pressure from Israel or in foreign country or in any way, they cannot like go back on their obligations and can scrap this deal unilaterally and can say, oh, it was done by Trump and we are going back to war. No, it's not going to happen. It will be provided a guarantee by the UN Security Council, and this deal will going to exist for a long period of time, and no administration further in future can like derail the process and can like back off from this deal, because all the other countries, Russia, China, will also be a guarantor in this deal, and it will going to like provide some, we can say, credibility and stability into the ongoing US-Iran negotiations. So we have to see whether this deal materializes or not in the coming 60 to 70 days, because this time is very critical and very, we can say, hostile time, because Israel, as I have stated earlier, they have said that they will not going to stop their hostilities in Lebanon. They will going to continuously push their missile program, their attacking genocidal types of tendencies into the Lebanese South Lebanon territories. They are also continuously attacking Beirut by throwing missiles in the name of coming out of Hezbollah. But we know that how much they like no targeting killings of Hezbollah and Hamas, and how much they love to kill civilians of the countries of Lebanon and Gaza. Well, this needs to be seen, because even though Donald Trump is under extreme pressure to like stop this senseless and reckless war between Iran and USA, and to show some face between the US midterm polls and to win some, but there is also continuous pressure from Israel its Israel lobby, and the many congressmen and senate members who are in parole of the Israeli APEC lobby to like restart the war and to come back into this Iran and Israel war against the Iran, and to like just kill out everybody and to just throw this present regime for the sake and interest of Israel. So we will need to see what happens next, and the next 60 days are very crucial for the entire world and especially for countries of US and Israel, because Iran has categorically stated and proved its abilities that they can like destroy the entire US bases, they can even hit Israel, Tel Aviv with their missiles, with their ballistic programs, and they do not fear any type of the repercussions. They are ready for any kind of attacks, repercussions or consequences from the US and Israel side, but they will also gonna pay a huge amount of this war. Thank you everyone.